We're going to be using Be So Sporty yarn. It's 100% bamboo, sport weight yarn. Bamboo is antimicrobial, hypoallergenic, machine washable, and very soft on the skin. You can find more information about this yarn on my website. And we're also going to be using a size I9 crochet hook, which is 5.5 millimeter. You want to tie your yarn to the crochet hook, and then let's get started. We're going to chain 5 and slip stitch to the first chain to create a chain 5 ring. Because our first round of stitches is now going to go into that chain 5 space rather than into the actual chains. The first stitch is a chain 3, which counts as our first double crochet, and we're going to double crochet into the chain 5 ring. Yarn over your hook, insert your hook in the ring, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. We'll do that again. Yarn over, insert your hook in the ring, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. You want to do this for a total of 16 times in the ring, counting the chain 3 as our first double crochet, so that we have 3 so far. You want to do 16 total. So this is what it looks like when we have 16 stitches in our first round. We're going to slip stitch to the top of the chain 3 at the beginning of the round to join. And we're going to chain 1 and single crochet in that same stitch to start our second round. We're going to skip 1 stitch and work 5 double crochets in the next stitch. Okay, we're going to skip the next stitch and work a single crochet in the next stitch. We're going to skip the next stitch and work 5 double crochets in the next stitch. Skip the next stitch, single crochet in the next stitch. Skip the next stitch, 5 double crochets in the next stitch. Skip the next stitch, single crochet in the next stitch. Skip the next stitch, 5 double crochets in the next stitch. Okay, we're going to skip the last stitch and slip stitch to the top of the single crochet at the beginning of the round to join. Okay, so now we have 4 sets of single crochet and 4 corners of 5 double crochet. The next round begins with chain 3, which counts as a double crochet, and work 4 more double crochets in that same single crochet from the previous round. Okay, we're going to skip 1 stitch, single crochet in the next, 5 double crochets in the next, single crochet in the next, skip the next stitch, 5 double crochets in the single crochet. Skip the next stitch, single crochet in the next, skip the 5 double crochets in the next, single crochet in the next, skip the next stitch, 5 double crochets in the next stitch, skip the next stitch, single crochet in the next, 5 double crochets in the next, single crochet in the next, skip the next stitch, 5 double crochets in the next single crochet, skip the next stitch, single crochet in the next stitch, 5 double crochets in the next stitch, single crochet in the next stitch, skip the last stitch and slip stitch to the top of the chain 3 at the beginning of the round to join. I'm going to set that down so you can see. So now we have 8 shells of 5 double crochet. What we're doing is working an increase over each of these 4 corners, and then in between those 4 corners on the walls we're going to work even in pattern. Even in pattern in this stitch pattern means we're going to work 5 double crochets and a single crochet in the top center stitch of each shell. On the corner shells we're going to be working skip the first stitch, single crochet in the second stitch, 5 double crochets in the third stitch, single crochet in the fourth stitch, and skip the 5th stitch. So I'll show you what I mean when we do the next round. We're going to slip stitch over to the center stitch of this 5 double crochet shell in the side of the pattern. These are the 4 corners, this is one of the sides. We're going to chain 1 and single crochet in the same stitch. We're going to skip 2 stitches, single crochet or 5 double crochets in the next single crochet, okay, it's time to do a corner, so we're going to skip 1 stitch, single crochet in the next, 5 double crochets in the next, single crochet in the next, and now to work along the side in pattern it means to work 5 doubles in a single, single in the top center of the 5 double crochet shell, 5 doubles in the next single, okay, we've reached our next corner, so we're going to skip the first stitch, single crochet in the next, 5 doubles in the next, single crochet in the next, skip the last stitch of the corner shell in the next single crochet, work 5 double crochets, okay, single crochet in the top center of the 5 double crochet shell because we're working along the side now, 5 double crochets in the next single crochet, okay, we're back to the next corner, so we're going to skip 1 stitch, single crochet in the next, 5 doubles in the next, single crochet in the next, skip the next stitch, 5 doubles in the next single crochet, single crochet in the top center stitch of the next shell, 5 double crochets in the next single crochet, we're to our next or last shell, corner shell now, so we're going to skip the first stitch of it, single crochet in the second, 5 doubles in the third, whoops, single crochet in the fourth, and skip the fifth. Work 5 double crochets in our next single crochet, Okay, and we've reached all the way around our round, so we can now slip stitch into the top of the first stitch or single crochet at the beginning of the round to join. And I'll set this down so you can see what it looks like. You see now we have 2 shells along the side where we had 1 shell before, and we have our 4 corners. So we have our 4 corners, and we now have 2 shells in between each corner. And for every round that we do now, we're going to have 1 more shell along those side edges and always maintain our 4 corners. So we'll do the next round. Starting right where we left off, we're going to chain 3, which counts as our first double crochet, and work 4 more double crochets in that same stitch, which was a single crochet. And in our side pattern, it's to work 5 doubles in a single and single crochet in the center double crochet of the 5 double crochet shells. So we'll single crochet in the shell, 5 doubles in the next single, now we've reached a corner again. We're going to skip the first stitch, single in the second, 5 doubles in the third, single in the fourth, skip the fifth. In the next single crochet, we'll work 5 doubles. Okay, and then the pattern for the sides is really easy. Until we get to that next corner shell, we're always going to work 5 doubles in the single, single in the center of the shell, 5 double crochets in the single, single crochet in the top of the shell, 5 double crochets in the single. Okay, so round 5 was a repeat of round 3, and now round 6, our final round before the joining round, is a repeat of round 4. So I'll just remind you of that, but please make sure you download the free pattern on my website, and it'll give you all the line by line instructions for all of this. So we slip stitched into the center stitch of the next shell, chain 1 and single crochet in the same stitch, 5 double crochets in the next single crochet, single crochet in the center of the next shell, single crochet or five double crochets in the next single crochet. Okay, and now we've come to a corner, and I'm sure you're familiar with what a corner is at this point. It's skipping the first stitch, single crochet in the next, 5 double crochet in the next, single crochet in the next, and skip the last stitch. And then we're going to work on in the same pattern that we've done already and finish this round. Then at the end of round 6, I'll show you how we start the joining round and how we join it one-sided to one of the other motifs. Okay, round 6 is complete, and just to point out, it does look a little bit ruffly at certain spots, but once you wash this, it does flatten out completely. So now we're going to start our joining round, and this is really simple, and we're going to be working into the same stitches we worked in for the other rounds, and that is the center of the shell and the single crochets. That's it. So we're going to chain 6, which counts as a double crochet, chain 3, and we're going to single crochet in the center of the next shell. Then we're going to chain 3, double crochet in the next single crochet, chain 3, single crochet in the next shell, the center of the next shell, chain 3, double crochet in the next single crochet. Now we've come to our corner. We're going to chain 3, and in the center of our corner shell, we're going to work double crochet, chain 3, double crochet. Okay, chain 3, and now across this entire side, we're going to do chain 3, single crochet in the, double crochet in the single, chain 3, and single crochet in the center of the shell. Okay, so that's what we're going to repeat across to the next corner. Okay, we've made it across to our next corner, so we're going to chain 3, and in the center of the corner shell we're going to work double crochet, chain 3, and double crochet. Now if you weren't joining this, you would do this all the way around until you come to the beginning of the chain 6. But because we're going to join on one side, I want you to stop when you get to the next corner, and I'll show you what to do to start joining for the last side. And we start, when we join a side, we join from corner to corner. Okay, so we've reached to the point where we're ready to start our next corner, and it's normally a double crochet, chain 3 double crochet, right? Well, the entire side is made up of chain 3 spaces between the stitches. When on a joining side, we're going to replace those chain 3 spaces with chain 1, slip stitch into the chain 3 space on the opposite motif, chain 1, and that chain 1, slip stitch, chain 1 counts as your chain. Notice that I have my motif facing front up, and I have the one I want to join to facing front up, and so I'm ready to do my chain 3 space for this corner. I've done my double, and our chain 3 is going to be a chain 1, slip stitch into the corner chain 3 space on the adjacent motif. And now on the corners, this is the only time I suggest joining into the actual center chain of that space, because when you join other corners, when you join everything together in the corner, see I did them all in the same exact chain, it's a much neater join. On the sides you're only joining one time, so it's perfectly fine to just slip stitch into the whole of the chain 3 space. Okay, so a chain 1, slip stitch, chain 1, and then we're going to come back and finish our corner, which was double crochet, chain 3 double crochet into the same stitch. So our corner is now complete. We're ready now to do our chain 3 and double crochet in the next single. So we're going to chain 1, slip stitch into the next chain 3 space on the side we're joining to, chain 1, and double crochet into the single, sorry. We're going to chain 1, slip stitch into the next chain 3 space on the opposite motif, chain 1, and we're now going to single crochet into the top center of the next shell. Chain 1, slip stitch into the next chain 3 space on the opposite motif, chain 1, and double crochet in the next single crochet. Chain 1, slip stitch into the next chain 3 space, chain 1, and single crochet in the center of the next shell. Chain 1, slip stitch into the next chain 3 space on the opposite motif, chain 1, and double crochet in the next single crochet. Chain 1, slip stitch into the next chain 3 space, chain 1, single crochet in the center of the next shell. Chain 1, slip stitch into the next chain 3 space, chain 1, double crochet in the next single crochet, chain 1, slip stitch in the next chain 3 space, chain 1, single crochet in the next shell, chain 1, slip stitch in the next chain 3 space, chain 1, double crochet in the next single crochet, chain 1, slip stitch in the next chain 3 space, chain 1. Okay, now we've come to our corner again, and it's normally a double crochet, chain 3 double crochet in the corner, so we're going to double crochet, chain 1. Now we're joining into a space that's already been joined, and you want to make sure you join in the same chain space that's been joined into before to give that neat join at the corners like I showed you. So we did double crochet, chain 1, slip stitch, chain 1, so now we'll come back and work our second double crochet in that corner, and our one side is joined. Isn't that great? So now we're going to finish up this motif because it was a one-sided join only, and we're just going to continue on in the established pattern and slip stitch to join in the top of the chain 3 of the chain 6, which counted as our double crochet. And in the next section of this video, I'll show you how to do a two-sided join. Okay, we're ready to join our next motif, and we're going to join this one on two sides. So I wanted to point out that first we did all 6 rounds in the shell pattern, and then we started our joining round in the middle of the round, which is what we normally do, and we worked our way to the corner. I want you to make sure that when you begin to start joining that you have two fully uncompleted sides for joining. You don't want to start joining here and join from this corner to this corner and expect to join at this corner, because this is already done. So you want to make sure that you have corner to corner of 2 sides incomplete before you start joining a 2-sided join. So I've worked my way through to this corner, and I have the first double crochet done. And now I'm going to join just like we did in the first round, in the last section. We're going to start with a 1-sided join. So we start by joining in the center chain of the chain 3 space corner, because remember, in the corners it looks much neater when we join more than once if we join into a chain rather than the chain 3 space. So we do the equivalent of a chain 3 with a chain 1, slip stitch, chain 1, and double crochet in the same stitch for the corner, and all of our chain 3 spaces along the side will be a chain 1, slip stitch, chain 1. And you just want to continue on to do exactly what we did in the last section until we get to the next corner. Okay, we've made it to our corner, and just like in the other corner, or just like we work corner to corner, right? So in the last section where we did 1-sided join, it's going to be the same. The only difference now is that instead of stopping joining at the end of this corner, we're going to continue joining in the same fashion, but to a different motif all the way to its second corner. And then we'll continue on and do the rest of this motif to come to the beginning of the round plain without joining. So it's nothing that you haven't done already, which is good, right? So we'll chain 1, and we're going to slip stitch to join into this corner that's already been joined into twice, which makes that chain space much easier to see also. And we'll come back and double crochet in the same stitch to complete the corner. But now, just want to point out again, we're done joining to this motif. We're now joining to this motif. But we're doing the exact same thing we just did, just to a different side, or a different motif as well. So it's just replacing every chain 3 space with a chain 1, slip stitch to the opposite motif, and chain 1. But otherwise working this round exactly the same as we do when we're not joining. Helps to not get your yarn tangled. Okay, come back now. Okay, we've come to our last corner. Double crochet, chain 1, slip stitch into the center chain of that joining chain in the opposite corner, or the opposite motifs corner, chain 1 and double crochet into it into the same stitch in our current motifs corner, and then you can see we now have two sides joined on this motif. This side is joined to this motif and this side is joined to that one. So now we'll come around and just finish off this motif in the pattern without joining. Which means we're now working chain 3s in between our stitches, just like we did in the beginning. And we'll slip stitch to the third chain of the chain 6, the portion that counted as a double crochet, to join. And then you want to fasten off. Okay, once you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 of the motifs joined, you either join them with a one-sided join or you join them with a two-sided join, the two sides being adjacent to each other. But to create a loop scarf out of this, meaning we're going to come around now and join the last two motifs so that they join to this motif and this one, but twisted so that we have a Mobius, we're going to have to join on two sides, but join them not adjacent sides. They're going to be opposite sides. So I've got my next motif crocheted all the way up until the last round. And so you know how the last round starts in the middle of a row, so you have to work it all the way to a corner before you can start doing a corner. And we've started the beginning of the corner. We have our first double crochet, and now the chain 3 that counts as our corner is going to be done differently when we're joining. Remember, it's going to be a chain 1 and then slip stitch to the adjacent motifs corner and a chain 1. And then double crochet into the same corner. Okay, now before we continue, I want to make sure you understand what we're doing is joining along this side, then this side we're going to work normal, and we're going to start joining from this corner up to this corner on this motif. So as I go, you'll see what I'm doing, but I want to make sure that I pointed it out, because sometimes now that I'm working, see how everything gets kind of jumbled together. When I'm finished joining on this row, I'll set it down again so you can see what it looks like in progress. Okay, we've made it to our corner. Okay, so we're going to join in the corner and finish our corner with our second double crochet. Now I'm going to set it down so you can see where we're at. Okay, so we've got one side of our motif joined to this motif, and now we're going to work even across this edge. So I'm going to turn it around since that's the way we'd be working. So then I'm going to crochet regular across this edge, and then when we get to this corner, we're going to twist this side so that we're working on the opposite motif, and I'll show you when we get there, because it's really important you crochet on the right edge of it as well. Okay, we've made it to the corner, so we're going to start with our first double crochet, and we're going to do a chain one, slip stitch into the corner of the adjacent motif, and then chain one. So now we want to make sure we're working into the correct side of that motif on the other side of the scarf, because remember, we're doing Mobius, so we want to make sure it has a twist, but we only want one twist. This is where you can make a mistake, because what can happen is you can, let's see, now I'm even getting confused as I'm sitting here. See, that's why it's so important to pay attention. Okay, so if we want this twisted, we want this, okay, what we want is this side to be joined to this one. So we're going to join it this way, meaning we're going to start in the middle of the motif and then work our way out to the edge. Okay, so now we'll pick up our yarn. And this is the only one that's actually difficult. Once we join the last one, there'll be no options. It's like there's only one way to join it, and that actually makes things easier, right? When you don't have choices. Okay, so we're going to slip stitch into the corner of that adjacent motif, chain one, and then come back and finish our corner on our original motif. And then we're going to join just like we did any other of the joins. Now that we've committed to what side we're joining, there's nothing else to figure out. We're doing exactly what we've done for joining all the other motifs. And there's some comfort in that as well, knowing that you're doing something that you've already done many, many times before. The only trick to this motif is just making sure that you join to the correct side. Oh, thank goodness I'm not going to run out of yarn. Okay, so we'll come back. We're now in our corner. And so now we're just going to finish up the row that we, the side of the motif that we began this round on. So we're going to be finishing up and joining to the beginning of the round here. And once I finish this, I'll set it down again so you can see what it looks like before we join our last motif. Okay, so now we'll set it down and make sure we're joined correctly and everything looks good. And yes, we have one twist. We have one twist in it. We're going to move the twist over to here so that we have a straight edge now to finish our last motif. And you can see we have our straight edge. Now we're going to join on 3 sides for that last motif. Our last motif is joined on 3 separate sides to 3 different motifs. So you want to make sure that when you've started your joining round, you want to make sure you've only done the partial row. You don't want to do any extra rows because that partial row is going to be finished up along this edge. So the first corner is going to start joining right away. Because you think about it, if we're joining on 3 sides, we're actually joining 4 corners, so all 4 corners need to be accounted for in joining. So I started the round just like we've done on all the other ones, only I've started the first corner with a double crochet chain 1. So now we want to come over here to the first side for joining and join in this corner. The joining round is exactly the same on this round as it is on all the other ones, except for the fact that we're joining on multiple sides. Other than that, the stitch pattern is exactly the same, and it's nothing you haven't done already. Okay, we've finished joining on the first side and we're ready to join in the second corner. And I'm going to set it down now so you can see that we've joined. Remember, we're joining 3 sides of this motif to 3 separate motifs in the project. So now this one is we've joined to this motif, so now from this corner we're going to join along the side of this motif. So pick it back up. Corner is done, so we'll continue on where we left off. Okay, we've made it across to our next corner. So now I'll set it back down again so you can see we're joined. This side is joined to this motif, this side is joined to that motif, and now our final side will be joined to this motif. And then we'll finish up our round on this side where we partially began already. Okay, last corner is complete. And so now we just want to finish along the last edge that has no joining whatsoever. Okay, so you're just going to want to fasten that off. Weave in all your loose ends, and then I wanted to show you that we do have a little bit of yarn left over. I have two balls here. One of them is this small amount of pink damask, and I know I have the small version of crushed berries. Anyway, I have both of them here, and this is how much yarn is left. So if I'm a big fan of using up the amount of yarn that came with a project, I don't think you need to dip into a second ball of either color to do an edging, but if you wanted to do an edging with the small amount that's left, you could easily do a striped single crochet border, or even just pick one of the colors and do a single crochet border. I'm okay with the way it looks on its own, but if you wanted to use up the yarn, that would be a great alternative. I do not think it's necessary to buy an extra ball of yarn to do an edging. I think this is pretty all on its own. Okay, if you're going to do the edging, this is how I suggest you do it. First, you want to tie your yarn onto your crochet hook, obviously. And to do a simple single crochet edging that has no shaping in it, you want to remember to do stitch for stitch. So we're going to join with a slip stitch in any stitch. It doesn't really matter. You're going to chain one, and you're going to single crochet in that same stitch. That's a single crochet that we single crocheted into. Now this was a chain 3, so we're going to work 3 single crochets in the chain 3 space, and then the next stitch was a double crochet. You're going to single crochet in it. So regardless of what kind of stitch you're using, you could do single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, it doesn't really matter. What I want you to do is make sure you do stitch for stitch. So this is a chain 3 space, you're going to work 3 stitches. This is a stitch, you're going to work 1 stitch. So 1 stitch for every one of the chains in the chain space, and 1 stitch for every stitch. That's it. How simple is that, right? So you want to do that all the way around. And what's really cool on a Mobius is that because of the twist, there is only one edge to this project. So we're going to start here, we're going to work all the way around in a figure 8, and we're going to come back to the same spot to join, and we will have done both the top and bottom of the edge in one piece. It's so cool. It's hard to comprehend until you do it, so when you do it, you'll totally understand what I'm saying. Now I'm just going to single crochet 1 time around in pink damask, and then 1 time around in crushed berries, and I'm going to call it done. This is so super cute, and this size is perfect for a Mobius and a cowl because it's long enough to wear it drapey, and it's also long enough that you can double it up to wear it as a more cozy cowl on a windy day. Don't forget to download the free pattern on my website, and you can also order the yarn kit to make this beautiful cowl with Be So Sporty yarn.